Greetings, my friends, and welcome to another episode of The World According to Woz. It is now Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, and I hope you're all doing well. The time has come, my friends. It's well past the point of us just being able to sit around and do nothing. And the longer we wait, the worse it's going to get. So much has happened in the past few years. Actually, it's happened slowly over the past few decades, but it seems to have really taken off in the past 3 or 4 years or so. Everything has happened. To the most recent Trump indictment, which is all a bunch of nonsense. It's all political. We've got, of course, the January 6th prisoners are still in jail more than 2 years after the event happened. Many of them have not even been brought on trial yet, or have had charges brought up against them. They're still sitting in a cell somewhere. And the whole January 6th committee and all that was just all a bunch of sham. It's all a bunch of nonsense. There was no insurrection, of course. Of course, Trump didn't incite any sort of riot. Everything indicates that he said just the opposite, including his tweets on Twitter that came back for all to see after Elon Musk reinstated his account, showing that he was telling everybody to remain peaceful. We have the Twitter files. They started coming out, I believe, in December, showing all the ways that government colluded with big tech to censor you and me, to spy on us, to keep us from seeing things that they didn't want us to see, such as the Hunter Biden laptop story. And now we have Senate Bill 686, which I believe is referred to as, the Restrict Act. And a lot of people believe that this has to do with TikTok and banning TikTok. Well, it's much more than that, my friends. In fact, TikTok itself is not even mentioned in the bill. If you read the bill, you can read it online. There's not one mention of TikTok in the bill at all. What this bill does is gives the government legal authority to spy on you any way they can possibly do so. All the things that the Twitter files exposed, all the spying that has been revealed to us from Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, this bill would make legal. In fact, the bill itself makes it illegal for you to dodge government spying on you. If you read the bill carefully, the bill makes it illegal for you to set up, say, a VPN, for example, to keep government from being able to check out your emails or, see what you post on Twitter or what have you. All the electronic devices we have these days, all the smart TVs and all that, government can spy on you with these things. And this bill makes all of that legal. And this bill has bipartisan support. There are tons of Republicans in favor of this bill. And unfortunately, many people believe that this bill, basically just makes it illegal to, use TikTok in the United States. And again, it is much, much more than that. Some people have described it as the Patriot Act 2.0. And this is basically a Patriot Act for, another Patriot Act for surveillance, surveilling you, knowing everything about you, and making it illegal, again, for you to try to prevent government from spying on you. Now, in addition to all this, the Restrict Act allows government to put you on trial for saying things, posting things online, that they claim are untrue and that they don't like. So, for example, when Twitter would suspend an account, for example, that said something that went against the COVID narrative or what have you, that was one thing. This actually gives government the power, the federal government, to put you in jail for doing something like that, if they want to. This gives them legal authority to do this. Now, of course, this whole thing violates the Constitution of the United States. So this bill should be shot down instantly just because of that. Yet we've got tons of Republicans and, of course, Democrats all in favor of this bill. So either these people do not know what's in the bill, or more likely they do, but they're members of the deep state, and they want this bill to pass so that they have more control over you and your lives. And let's not forget the federal government labeling those of us domestic terrorists just for speaking out at school board meetings because we don't like, what and how they teach our kids, what our kids are being taught, how they're being groomed. And they've shown certain examples in some schools where they would have things like, showing your kids how to insert certain objects in their rear ends. This has actually happened. And, you're labeled a domestic terrorist for questioning this, which is just ridiculous. When we got things like family-friendly drag shows. Now, drag queens are nothing new. That's not a new phenomenon. Drag queens have been around forever. What does seem to be new is the fact that they insist that we have so-called family-friendly drag shows, where these performances are held in front of children, sometimes young children, like toddlers and infants. Normally this type of thing would take place at an adult's establishment where only adults could be present. But for some reason, they're insisting now that they be able to do this in front of kids. And the question is why? Why, for example, wasn't this not even thought of 30, 40, 50 years ago? There were drag queens back then. But I assume this was never proposed because most likely it would have been shot down instantly. Now they're actually pushing it. They actually want it to be legal, where you can do this stuff in front of children. And of course we have the COVID hysteria, perpetuated by the government and the media, and all the lockdowns, shutting down of businesses, the loss of jobs, people not being able to go to the doctor or the hospital for necessary surgeries. Yet abortion clinics remained open the entire time. Never forget that. Abortion clinics were essential, according to the government, that they stay open. But you couldn't go if you had to have some surgery, a hip surgery, or maybe you were having cataract surgery scheduled. This had to be pushed off to the side. But you could kill a baby in the womb if you wanted to. Big box stores like Walmart were allowed to stay open, while small businesses were forced to shut down. And in many cases, they went out of business as a result. They couldn't make any money. And of course, from a health standpoint, this makes no sense whatsoever. When you go to a local mom and pop store, for example, you don't have very many customers there generally. So you may not even encounter anybody in the store. And if this were truly about safety with the COVID hysteria, you would think that it would make much more sense for you to be better for you to be in an area where there are less people around. But yet you were forced to go to, say, a place like Walmart, where there are hundreds of people all around, stuffed in there, like sardines in a can, much more likely to catch something than if you were to, say, go to Joe Bob's party store, and there are like two people standing around. And of course, the airlines remained open the entire time, which again, from a health standpoint, makes no sense whatsoever. You're forcing a bunch of people into this sardine can that floats or flies in the sky. Everybody's huddled together. If you're seriously concerned about being able to transmit and contract COVID or anything else, you would think that the airlines themselves would have been banned. Flights would have been banned, canceled. But clearly it was not about health. Again, when with the stores, it's the same thing. It wasn't about health. It's about what they can get you to do. This whole thing was about obedience and seeing what government could get away with. What they can get people to go along with if they scared enough people. And I could go on and on and on about all the crap that's going on in the world today. And like I said at the very beginning, it's gotten to that point, my friends. We have to do something now. We can't just keep pushing it off. We can't just keep letting this stuff build more and more and more. It's getting to the point now where there's going to be no turning back before you know it. It's just going to be all over and done with. I mean, some people have hope in the new Republican-controlled House of Representatives, and there have been some positive signs, but I can't see them changing everything, really changing much anything at all, to be quite honest. Based on past performance, we have to say that nothing really is going to happen when it comes to Congress. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? Merely hanging out on Twitter and social media and posting things isn't going to do anything. We have to get off our butts and get out there and do something. Now, I'm not advocating violence or anything like that, but something must be done. The whole reason why the left is always successful is they get out there and they engage. They engage you and me and everybody else. They push and push and push, and that's how they keep gaining ground. And everybody else just sits back and takes it. So we have to start pushing back. We have to start saying, no, we're not taking this anymore. One way or another, we have to change things. I don't know if that means a national divorce. I don't know if it means completely changing government. I honestly don't see how you can just change the existing government. It's gotten so bad, it basically has to be torn down and started over again. If you want government, this is going to have to happen. The current government is just so infested. I mean, the deep state controls everything. Even when Donald Trump was president, they ran the show. They ran it under Biden, they ran it under Trump, they ran it under all their predecessors, and it's not going to change. So, like I said, the question is, what do we do about it? Let me know in the comment section here on Rumble if you want to talk about this. You can also email me. I have an email set up for this. I have accordingtowaz@gmail.com set up strictly for my podcasts. If you want to email me anytime, you want to just email me and say hi. Let me know you like the show, you like my podcasts. Let me know I suck. It's all good. Whatever you want to talk about. If you got any questions, maybe suggestions so I can improve the show, maybe certain things you want me to talk about. I do have some things in the works coming up. I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet. I am going to end up going to video. So far I've done audio only with some memes, and I will be going to video in the future. I may also have possibly a call-in show. At least sometimes I'll have a call-in show. I plan on having guests on. I mean, I goof around with a couple of guests a podcast or two ago with Billy Bob and his brother. And, of course, if anybody listens to that podcast, you could probably figure it out. But that was just me doing the voices of both those guys. But I just wanted to change things up a bit there. But yeah, I got some big changes coming up soon, and it should make things interesting. We'll see where it goes. And again, we have to do something, my friends. Something has to be done. One way or another, something has to be done, because if we don't stop it, something will be done, whether we want it to or not. And what that will be is things will get worse and worse and worse till we're past the point of no return. And then once that happens, where do we go from there? And until next time, my friends, this is Waz signing out.